right, this is page 26. Oh my word. I'll try that again. Okay, page 26. This little piece of paper is what you're going to refer back to. We do have new vocab words today. Good news, I'm not making you write the definitions. I typed them. You don't have to fill in the definitions. Bad news, you do have new vocab words that you absolutely have to learn. Okay? We will have a short quiz over just this, probably Tuesday. Today we're learning it. We're going to practice it on an easy level, and then on Monday we're going to practice it on the geometry sophomore grade level challenging type problems. And then Tuesday we will take a quiz over just this, okay? So, new vocab words. Let's see. I need to throw you highlighters.
And welcome to Miss Holcombe's math class.
All right. This is page 26. We've got some vocab words to highlight. Y'all highlight with me. Remember, it's a scientific fact that if you highlight your notes strategically, not just sit there and color the whole thing, if you highlight your notes, it really helps you to retain and comprehend. Here's what I want you to highlight. We have a new vocab word, transversal, corresponding angles, alternate interior angles, alternate exterior angles, supplementary angles, this should look familiar, supplementary and vertical, and then consecutive interior. Then I want you to take your highlighter and I want you to highlight the dots. Notice the very first picture doesn't have any. Highlight the dots. In the first picture, I want you to highlight the one rogued line cutting across the two parallel lines. I want you to highlight that one. So we're done with the highlighting. Now what I'm going to do, I need you to just to sit and listen. Okay, the first vocab word, transversal. Transversal is a word to describe a rogue line. Rogue meaning like going off on its own path, right? A rogue line. If you look at this picture right here, this line and this line appear to be going in the same direction, right? They almost look like railroad tracks. Do you see what I'm saying? Y'all with me? I'm actually going to fix that highlighter now that I'm zoomed in. There we go. The two lines that look like railroad tracks are what's called parallel. This line and that line are parallel. The purple line is called the transversal because it is cutting across the parallel lines. When you have parallel lines, there is a symbol that will be on them. You know how like when you have congruent segments, there's a symbol? You with me? Everybody with me?
Yep. Okay,
when you have parallel lines, there's a symbol. Instead of seeing the word parallel, there's one of two symbols. You have a little triangle on the lines to let you know, almost looks like the feather of an arrow, but almost to let you know that those two lines are running parallel to each other. Or you'll have what looks like an arrow right in the middle of the line, and that's to let you know they're parallel. Okay? So that's the symbol to say that they are parallel. Parallel means they are running in the same direction. They are spaced apart. Will they ever touch? Never. It's like railroad tracks. They will never cross. They are always that space apart, okay? Transversal, think about like if you're traversing across the country. Transversal means it is cutting across the two parallel lines. You see that? The phrase is parallel lines cut by a transversal. That is the phrase you're going to start seeing in your practice problems. That means two lines are parallel, the road line is cutting over it. Here's why it's important. When you have parallel lines, y'all with me? Cut by transversal, 8 angles are formed. 8 angles. I'm not on the highlighter. Hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Anytime two parallel lines are cut by a transversal, bam, 8 angles are formed. Every time, okay? Those angles have names. Enter these vocab words. Good news is not the last two, but 2 of them towards the bottom, you already know. You've already practiced them. So you really only have 4 new ones, okay? There is a relationship in those 8 angles. Now, it depends on which ones you're looking at, but there's a relationship. Go back to what we learned. Let's just skip down to the one we already know, because I'm already losing some of y'all. Vertical angles, right? Vertical angles are when any 2 lines cross and they're directly opposite of each other, right? Think of the lightsaber, double-sided flashlight. If you look at this picture, does this line play a role in those purple highlighted angles? It's the line that I circled.
No, it has nothing to do with it.
Does this line have anything to do with the purple angles that are highlighted?
No. They
No.
have the same value.
Nope, not at all. I could take that line away and I would still have the 2 purple vertical angles. Question. Those 2 purple vertical angles, are they the only vertical angles in that picture?
No.
No, there's way more, right?
Yep.
That's what you're going to have to start training yourself to see. There's not just the one, there's actually another one here and here, right? Then go down to this line, there's here and here, and then there's here and here. You're going to start seeing vertical angles pop up. Okay, let's go to this one that you already know. Supplementary, remember that means that 2 angles that add up to equal 180. I also want you to write this. Look for linear pairs. Look for linear pairs. Meaning 2 angles that are back to back and they form a straight line. What do those angles add up to equal? 180 every time. So if you look at this picture, and I'm going to modify the picture because I don't like how it highlighted. If you look at this picture, you have this one here and this one here. They are side by side, almost looks like 2 eyeballs. They're side by side and they form this straight line here, right? Changing colors. There's another one here and here. Do you see it? Or here and here. Watch. Or these 2. Or I could repeat what I just did with the 4 angles up here at the top. You see that? So there's a lot of repetition here. All right. Now let's go to the new part. We just covered the 2 that you already know. There are 3 new ones here, and then we'll scroll to get the last new one at the bottom. Corresponding angles. They are angles that lie in the same side of the transversal, same position. Same side, same position. So here's what we mean. If you look at this picture, right? Let's say we have line M and line N. Line M with the transversal, this would be considered the top right angle. Do you agree? You got 1, 2, 3, 4. This is the top right. Now look at line N. This is the top right of 1, 2, 3, 4. Do you see that? You got with me? So when we say corresponding, we mean that the angles are in the exact same position. This is top right, this is top right. Okay? When we say alternate interior, here's what we mean by that. If these parallel lines were like the actual railroad tracks, then this would be considered the interior, right? That's where the train is actually sitting. Do you see that? You with me, Liam? Okay, so the interior, meaning it's inside the parallel lines. Alternate implies what? Opposite. Notice that one is on the left of the transversal and the other one is on the right of the transversal. So those are called alternate interior angles. So look at it, wrap your mind around it. They're on the inside, but they're on opposite sides of the transversal. Now, keeping that in mind, alternate exterior. Here's the interior. Notice the purple angles are not in it at all because they are on the outside of the railroad tracks, the exterior, but they are on opposite sides of the transversal. This one's to the right of the transversal, this one's to the left. You see that?
Yes.
This stuff is really easy if you will just give me a chance to teach it to you. All right, then the very last one is consecutive interior angles. We are going to adjust this word. We're going to write same side. Same side interior. There actually is that order. Same side interior. This is the only one, there's a reason this one's at the very bottom. This is the only one that has a different approach. Look at the picture. We are on the interior of the parallel lines, but this time they're both to the right of the transversal. You see that? There you are. If you can visualize like this puzzle piece sliding and filling in right there, then you can see that they are going to be supplementary. Let's make a note. What type of angle describes this? What type of word? Acute. This one is acute. What type of word describes that one? Obtuse. You will notice that this vocab word is the only one where the angles are different measurements. Like the others, they all look the same. This is the only one where one's acute, one's obtuse. Now I'm going to zoom out. I'm going to zoom out because now what we need to do is we need to write what the relationship is so that when we practice it, you'll know how to set it up. Okay? So, first of all, the transversal is just a vocab word. There's no relationship there. It's the angles that have a relationship. All right? Every single one of them is congruent except supplementary and same side interior. So look at this. Corresponding angles. Do you notice how this looks like an identical puzzle piece? That's because they're congruous. So we're going to make note. Equal. And then underline it. Alternate interior angles. They are equal. Then underline it. Alternate exterior angles. They're equal. then underline it. Well, the pattern's changing right here. Supplementary angles, you should already know this, then you should be writing this down. What do supplementary angles do? I'm going to make a note. Add to equal 180. Vertical angles, you should already know this. They're equal to each other, right? And then same side interior angles, add to equal 180. So these two are the only ones you have to be careful. They add to equal 180. They don't actually equal each other. Okay? There's one counter example. You don't have to write this. I just want to show you in case it comes up. To this one right here. To this one right here, okay? If we have parallel lines cut by transversal, and that transversal runs at a 90-degree angle, which is called perpendicular, by the way. Perpendicular. If it runs to a 90-degree angle with those parallel lines, then that means this is 90 here, which means this would be 90 there. That is the only time that the same side interior pair of angles is not acute and obtuse. In this case, they are equal. This is the only special case scenario where they're actually equal to each other. But all of the others that we're going to practice, one of them's acute, one of them's obtuse. Okay? Okay. Now we're going to practice. We're going to start out very simple, just numbers, just recognizing and identifying. Then we'll start getting into more challenging. Okay, so we're looking at this sheet right here, which means, what, 27?
Yeah.
Right? Is that little half sheet? You might want to keep the little half sheet out.
27.
That little half sheet is 26. This is page 27. Just a reminder up here, they are telling you, hey, remember, corresponding angles are congruent, alternate interiors congruent. Same side or consecutive. Consecutive is another way of saying same side. They are supplementary. That means they add to equal 180. And then, of course, vertical angles are congruent. And then any linear pair is supplementary. Okay. All right. What I love about this lesson is it's one of those types of problems where this picture, see, there's the 8 angles. If I give you one angle, you can find all 8 of them. And it's a domino effect. It's a lot like one of those practice problems in the flip book that we had earlier this week. All right, look right here. Given that this little m stands for measure, given that the measure of angle 1 is 65, find the rest and state your reasoning. Go to the picture and label the one they gave you. And then now it is a domino effect. No two people will fill it in the same order, but everybody's answers should match. So your mind may see the vertical angle. I see 1 is vertical to 3, and I'm going to fill 3 in. We'll come over here. I'm going to find 3. I'm going to write that it's 65. It says state your reasoning. I'm going to say vertical. I'm abbreviating. I'm going to say vertical to angle 1. That was my reasoning. There's different reasonings depending on how your thought process saw it, but your answer, like your numbers, should be the same. Going back to it, my mind now looks for a linear pair. Look right here. I always look for a linear pair at vertical angles. They're the easiest. If angle 1 is 65 and angle 2 is right next to it forming a linear pair, they have to add up to equal 180. So angle 2 can be found by subtracting 65 off of what number? 180. And what do you get? 115. So I'm going to go to where it says what's the measure of angle 2? It's 115, and I'm just going to say that angle 1 and angle 2 adds to 180. That's how I got that. Angle 1 and angle 2 adds to 180. Or you could have written linear pair with angle 1. It's up to you. Now, angle 2 is vertical to angle 4, which means angle 4 has to measure 115 as well. So I'm going to make a note, vertical to angle 2. Now, somehow we got to get to the other 4 angles. This is where the new vocab words come into play. I'm going to show you corresponding first. Corresponding means same context, same position. So if angle 1 is right here in the top left of those 4 angles, what angle is in the top left of these 4? Top left would be angle 5. And so angle 5 would have to measure 65 because corresponding angles are congruent. So now I've bumped down to these 4. Angle 5 is 65. It was corresponding, I'm going to abbreviate, with angle 1. Now that I know angle 5, I can fill in angle 6, 8, and 7 in the same manner that I filled in the one at the top. So angle 5 is, listen to the vocab word, vertical to angle 7, right? So 7 has to be 65 because it's vertical to angle 5. And then 6 and 8 have to be the linear pairs with angles 5 and 7. So they have to measure what? 115. You could make a note, linear pair with angle 5, and this one is a linear pair with angles 7. What?
No, Lizzo.
You know I'm recording.
Oh yeah, I'm Donald on the track.
Okay, go to the next example and you try it. I'm not so worried with your reasoning as I am with you being able to get the number. So focus more on filling in the number. Your mind should be covering the reasoning as you're doing that. Which, by the way, you do need to know these vocab words, though. You should be comfortable with them. All right, let's practice. This time, instead of relying on vertical or linear pairs, I want us to practice the new vocab words, okay? So, look right here. I'll use my highlighter to direct your attention. If this is the angle given to me, right? Y'all with me? Of the 4 angles created right here, it is in the bottom right. Of the 4 angles down here, which one is in the bottom right? 8. So angle 8 would be considered the corresponding angle to angle 6. practicing the new vocab words. Back to this one. Angle 6 is on the inside of the parallel lines, right?
Yes.
Railroad tracks. On the right side of the transversal, what angle is on the inside of the parallel lines to the left of the transversal? What angle is on the inside of the parallel lines to the left of the transversal?
Angle.
Angle 3. Alternate interior. So 6 and 3 are alternate interior angles. So 3 has to be 142. We're going to make a note that it is alternate interior with angle 6. All right, back to 6. No, you can't do that. Let's go to 8. Look at 8. 8 is on the outside of the parallel lines, right? Stand with me.
Yep.
Outside of the parallel lines to the right of the transversal. Direct your eyes to the angle that's on the outside of the parallel lines to the left of the transversal. Angle 1. This would be considered alternate exterior. It's outside the parallel lines, opposite sides of the transversal. So angle 1 is also 142. It's alternate exterior with, it's okay. Listen, the reason, don't erase it. Don't erase it. It all depends on what order your mind filled it in. Your reason will be different.
So
Okay.
like my reason.
Your numbers should be the same, but depending on how your eyes looked at it and filled it in, will change your reason.
So like it could be vertical.
Yes, it is vertical. Angle 1 is vertical to angle 6. I'm trying to have you fill it in. I'm trying to practice with the new vocab words. I think everybody in here is doing well with vertical and linear pair. We need to practice corresponding, alternate interior, alternate exterior, and same side interior. All right. Here comes a linear pair. So angle 1 and 5. They form a linear pair, so they have to add to equal 180. So angle 5 would be 38. We're going to say linear, linear pair with angle 1. Okay. Angle 5, let's practice the new vocab word. Direct your eyes to the angle that is alternate exterior to angle 5.
Oh.
Yes. Alternate, meaning opposite side. Exterior, meaning pop down here. It would be angle 4. So this is 38. 38 degrees. Alternate exterior with angle 5. All right. Let's practice same side interior. That's one of the hardest ones for people. Angle 6 and angle 7 are on the interior of the parallel lines, and they're on the same side of the transversal. Do not set them equal to each other. Another way to remind yourself that they're not equal, one of them will always be obtuse, and the other one will always be acute. Can an obtuse angle equal an acute? Oh, I did that backwards. Sorry. Can an acute angle equal an obtuse angle? Ever?
No.
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 So don't ever set them equal. They should add to equal 180. So what's 7 have to be?
It's got to be 38.
38. So So 7 is 38 because it's same side, interior. I'm losing you and you're making it difficult to do my job. Angle 6. All right. Last vocab word to practice, and that would be direct your eyes to the alternate interior angle with 7. It would be angle 2. You see it? So it's 38, 38, and it's because it's alternate interior with angle 7. Okay. This paper is now where we're going to practice it. We don't have just one big picture and filling it in. We've got just individual pictures. I do want you to practice telling me the vocab word. When I say what's the relationship, this means I'm looking for you to say whether they are congruent or supplementary. Those are the only two options, right? Congruent or supplementary. And then where it says equation, that's where you're putting the initial equation and then you're going to solve it, okay? All right, so first of all, recall, when parallel lines are cut by transversal, the following angle relationships exist. Then you have this picture here. We have alternate interior angles. We have alternate exterior angles. We have same side interior angles, and then we have corresponding angles. You also have vertical angles and linear pair, but those are the 4 new vocab words. What is the only one that adds to 180? Careful. The same side interior is the only one that adds to 180. So make a note, draw an arrow to yourself. This is the one that adds to equal 180. And then of course linear pair adds to 180, but y'all have already practiced that. Okay. Are you raising your hand? What's up? There is, but we're not covering it because when we do vertical angles, you're finding it by default. So it's kind of one of those vocab words that really is not needed because of the vertical angle relationship, but it is there, so we just don't bother with it. All right, look at number 1. Remember, go to what you know. Ask yourself what's the relationship, like what's the type of angles that we have here. Do you know, this is where your half sheet might be helpful. What do you think? First of all, they're on the same side of the transversal. So that means they're either same side interior or corresponding. Yeah, look at the words. The words are telling you where they should be. If it says interior, that means they both need to be on the train, right? In between. Exactly, that one's not. So it's not interior. So it's corresponding because they're both to the right of the transversal. They're to the right. So let's make a note. I want you to draw a congruent mark to remind you that they have to be equal to each other. Okay? So what are they? They are corresponding. You can abbreviate this if you want. So what's the relationship? That means they are congruent. Yes? So what's the equation? There you go. And then underneath it, you're going to solve. And then just circle your x. So I would subtract the x over, and when I do that, I end up with 4x, then divide by the 4, and I get 20, and then circle it.
Just make sure we
was a continuation of just finding them, and I feel like yeah, so. Alright, let's look at number 2. Always ask yourself, what type of angles do we have? They're on opposite sides of the transversal. That means it's one of the alternate ones. But they're on the train. They're on the railroad tracks. So it's alternate interior. Alternate interior angles are congruent, which means I do what with the equations, or the expressions? Set them equal. Told you this was easy. I said, give me a chance to teach it, and you're going to find that this is actually easy. This is one of my favorite lessons because it is, for the most part, everyone feels like they can do it. I thought I just had this. Oh, I did. Did you get 25? If I add x, did you get 25? Yep. All right, let's jump to, you can do number 3. Let's jump to number 4.
Those are same
side interior, right?
Very good. Same side interior, which means they do what? And then let's use that vocab word. They are supplementary, which means adds to equal 180, which is telling you how to set it up. So 3x minus 10 plus 5x plus 30 has to equal 180. And then now solve that. So this is where we're getting to, you have to take something you know and copy it to another angle that you would know is equal to then be able to set up. You would say no relation. For lack of angles, you'd say no relation. Did you get 20?
Yes.
Okay, I need to show you one more. You need to write this down, otherwise you're going to get confused.
Okay.
Let me show you one more real quick. Go to the back to number 5, and this is going to be true with number 6 as well. These are not supposed to trick you. This is supposed to show you that sometimes in the picture, what is given to you is not helpful. You need to label something else based on what you know, so then you can approach it. There is actually no relation here. There's no relation on either of these. But we can take what we know and we can copy it to another angle that we know it has to be equal to, and then we can approach the problem. And there's multiple ways to do this. My mind goes to a smaller expression. Do you notice 2x is right here? And then right above it will also be, what, 2x? And then now do you notice that the 3x plus 15 and the 2x make a linear pair, which means I could add those to equal 180.
Could you also do?
You can.
2x to the left.
Yeah, you.
180 divided by 2.
No, don't do that. Don't do that.
Oh.
No, it went too far. But you could take this down here. Yeah, either way. All right. So you would label that that's 2x up there. So the relationship is supplementary. That means they add to equal 180. And and then I can set it up. That is going to happen again in number 6. You're going to have to be strategic in something else you can label, then you can set it up. Your practice assignment is to finish this paper.
No delta math?
No delta math.
Thank you.
Work on it during flex today so that you don't have to scramble Monday morning because I will be checking.
I got it.